t-shirt to work because I just...
Yep, don't care. And it's not that I don't care, it's that I don't have the energy to care.
I just don't have anything together. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
No, not at all. Not sorry. Like, yeah, yesterday was week 3 of being sick. And like not last night, but the night before, I slept for 6 hours, 2 different 3-hour time periods where I didn't wake up coughing. And I'm like, that's the most sleep that I've gotten in 3 weeks, people. Like, I don't understand. So it's been, it's been wild. So yeah. Hello. Welcome to Living Understaffed, because we are the epitome of living understaffed. Like, this is entirely why we decided to create this podcast, where we are literally struggling to find an hour or 2 a week to just record these episodes. And we're literally recording this welcome episode the week before we launch this podcast. And have we done any marketing? Have we done any images? Have we, like, people, we are understaffed, but like, this is the reason why we wanted to do this podcast, because we know there's so many people out there right now that are in the exact same boat, that are in the exact same situation, mentally, physically, financially. Like, we are understaffed, and I know that there's people out there that can relate. So here we are. I'm Sarah. Hello.
I'm Erica. Same. Yeah, we just don't. It's either we don't have, well, in Sarah's case, she never has time. In my case, I either don't have time or I just don't have the energy to do it. Like, once I have the time, I'm like, I could do that, or I could just rot in my bed with my dog, who is himself a bit of a menace. You will hear stories about him.
Oh, good old Rocky boy.
But anyway, this is just us trying to function when actually we're just a raccoon trying to survive this dumpster of life.
On fire.
Yeah.
While it's like, the wheels are running and it's going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah. Well, I'm trying to work and maintain a job and, well, shit. You know what I mean? Well, I'm trying to maintain my job and be like a regular functioning person and like eat food and make dinner and have hobbies that don't involve alcohol and have friends who I don't live with. That isn't my dog or my husband.
And still function as an adult and still pay the bills and make sure that we have oil changes in the car and make sure that the tires are getting rotated. And how people don't have regular meltdowns baffles me, because I have regular meltdowns, regular fits of like, I will sit here and it feels like it feels like an existential crisis, and I'm crying and bawling to myself, wondering how the fuck have I survived this long?
Yeah.
Without help. Now, granted, I was married for 10 years and I had that partnership and I had a little bit of help in that sense, but like, I've been alone for 2 years and I'm kind of like, like, this is a lot. It is a lot to function and have a social life and try to make sure that you have free time and try to do me time and take care of yourself. And, I had a really great conversation with a friend of mine from college a couple weeks ago. She was in this really long relationship. They broke up, but they're living in the same house because they can't afford for the deposits and the moving and all of that stuff to live separately. So they have a split level home. She's living in the basement. Her ex is living upstairs, and they're sharing like the kitchen. Excuse me. And so they've been broken up for a few months. She decides that she's going to go out of town and visit a friend of hers that she used to work with. They were flirty. They were whatever. And so she's talking to me about this. She's really nervous. And she's like, I just don't, like, is it flirting? Am I making it up in my mind? Like, I just don't know. And I'm like, well, girl, like, is your mischief managed down there? Are we taking care of business? Because if it is, like, okay, if things happen, but like, if it's managed, then like, you're also taking care of yourself too. So like, is your mischief managed? And I I'm so proud of myself for that joke. Like, I called my sister in California and was like, listen, the next time that you do stand up comedy, I'm going to need you to put this in there. Like, I get rights. I get something out of this because that shit was hilarious. Because we've all been there when our mischief is not managed and we decide that we're going to be mischievous and we're like, fuck.
Oh yeah, there were many a time when I was single where I was like, now thankfully I lived in a small town, so in Washington, so like they're used to a hairy bitch, but like I'm like, ooh, it's wintertime. I haven't shaved my legs in um
Months. Months.
yeah, it's when you get out of the shower and you can feel the breeze in your leg hair. I'm like,
You know, and there's pieces of me though that I don't have any regrets about that because in the grand scheme of things, my legs, I don't care. Like I don't
yeah.
have
Also,
hairy, hairy legs, but like ultimately, I don't care.
no, and I'm also like if I was as like self-aware now or then as I am now, I would be like, "Oh my god." And now but at the same time I'm like, "Do I actually give a shit?
Oh,
Do I actually want to be around someone who's like, ugh, leg hair?"
yeah.
No.
Then that person's not worth my time anyway. Because if that is what you are focusing on, we're focusing on the wrong things, friend. Like that's the
And if they're
wrong
focusing on
thing.
that wrong thing, are you just, what other wrong things are you? I don't have time. This
Girl.
is not a lesson. This is a
Yeah, this is a red
mutual.
flag. How many times have we, red flags have been like a huge thing in social media for the last like 6, 7, 8 months, maybe even a year at this point. But
Uh-huh.
there's somebody on my Twitter that posts green flags. All they do is post green flags. And it's the one that they posted the other day was like 10 green flags. And it's a text message from their whoever. And it says,
Mhm.
hey, are you doing okay? Have you eaten today? Have you drank any water? I'm going to need you to take care of yourself. And then she responds 10 green flags. And I'm like, oh my God, where is that person? Because that is so sweet. Like, that is, you get a winner for that.
I will say my husband does that. He'll
Oh,
message me and be like, "Have you had any water today?
oh,
Have you had anything to eat?" He also, we've been together for 12 years, so he knows me really well. And it was like last week. He was like, did you eat breakfast this morning? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, iced coffee doesn't count. I was like,
damn it.
first of all,
How dare
rude. Secondly, how did you know?
I mean, well, green flag. I'll give you a green for that one. I will give you a green for that one. Oh my
Yeah.
God. The,
But yeah, I think about the things that I was like, this is fine when I was like 20, and now I'm like,
why?
ew.
Why? Why? I've actually been
Yeah.
going through and I've noticed on Facebook that some of my photo albums from forever ago have disappeared. And I'm like, oh my God, like those were the only copies of those photos that I have. And
Mhm.
so I've been going through all of my Facebook photos and like every day on my memories, I go through and I look at the photos that are saved and I resave them and then upload them to this other thing that I have going. And it's basically to just me keep copies of like records of my life because like nobody else is, it's just me. And so one of the things that I went through were my good old Iowa State days, my freshman year of college. Lord have mercy. First of all, the amount of coke that I consumed in 1 year. Mm, wow. I
So
was
much.
yeah, I was talking to a coworker and I'm like, I really don't think that I paid for any alcohol
No,
the
none of it.
entire year. Also, I don't think, well, maybe once or twice, but like, I don't think I paid for any Coke
No.
that went up these nostrils because I was paying for it with other services, with mischievous services. That's what I'm going to call it. She is now called mischievous.
At the very least, with the assumption that that would be available later.
Correct. Correct. Well, there were also in some of these photos the gentlemen that I was enjoying. And I was like, why, honey? Honey. And then, it was because they had drugs, obviously. But like
Yeah.
standards have risen through the clouds since then. And that's not a bad thing. ladies, gentlemen, standards are not a bad thing. If you think that that person's standards are too high, you don't belong with them because someone will match their level. And then that means that you go find someone else that's going to match your level. I can't tell you, I have been in the dating scene for a couple of years, and it is absolutely bananas to me that a man can sit here and tell me that my standards are too high after I had a marriage of 10 years. So it was a successful marriage to a certain extent because that was 10 years of my life. Um, but someone can sit there and tell me that I have too high of standards when I went through 10 years of a relationship plus a couple years before marriage and now a couple years post marriage of dating that I'm like, I absolutely have the right to have high standards. So for any of you that are out there thinking that like, oh, well, he said that or she said that, blah, 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 I need to change and I need to, no, 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 because someone will fit the mold. Someone.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. And it's not like you're out here being like, no woman should date a guy that's X, Y, and Z,
yeah.
or that doesn't meet your standards. I'm saying this because there's some dude out there who's like, why do I get shit on when I say women are ugly when they're fat? Not the same.
Well, I will say I that was another conversation I had with a coworker today that it was like um she is doing a uh she's not from America, and so she uh comes from another country that has like traditional dancing and that kind of thing. So she's actually going to do one of these traditional dances for a hail and farewell for like one of their really good friends. And so we were asking like, are you going to wear like the traditional outfit, like the traditional getup? And she was like, oh my god, no, if I did that, people would run away. Like, I did this in my 20s. I am in my 40s. Like, no, 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 no. That is not the life that I live. And I was like, girl, like, hey, fupas are like in right now. So like, let's
Yeah.
go. Like, I'll do this with you, you know? And she was like, no. But we got on that topic of men who are like, how can a woman or a man date another man that is like, you have to get in the gym. You have to get in the gym. You have to get in the gym. You have to look like this in order to be with me. But said person does not go to the gym, does not also uphold their side of, looking as such. And everybody has their preferences, man. Everybody has their preferences. I get that. But like, you can't have such unrealistic expectations and expect that to be upheld without being psychologically abusive or somehow manipulative in that sense. So it's like everybody's kind of out there looking for their person, but like you also have to be careful. You also have to make sure that they're not a psycho. You also have to make sure that they're not serial dating and that they're not just sleeping with everything that walks. Like it is a weird world. It's like it's fun to a certain extent, but man, it's not fun. Having to vet people is like, what world do we live in? Man, it's
Yeah. I will say, I think, correct me if I'm wrong though. I'm not in the dating scene. Uh, I feel like this is one of the first times, this is sort of, and I say right now, I mean like in the last, like within the last 5 years for sure. The emphasis of a woman like finding a man to be happy versus the message that other women are sort of sending each other is, do I want to be with him because, like, would I rather, is he making my life better, or would I rather just be alone? Like, because before
mm,
that, being alone as a woman just wasn't an option. Like, you have to have, like, it wasn't like you're going to grow up and you're going to go to college and you're going to get married. Like, that was just
mm, it's kind of
what your
ingrained.
life was.
Yeah.
And like, that's not to say like my mom is divorced, my mother-in-law is divorced. Like they are not like, oh, whatever. I'm divorced. Um, but like this whole, that's part of your life goals, like own a house, get married, whatever. And now it's like you actually don't.
No.
It's
Mm-mm.
actually fine. And I mean, there's always going to be those old people that are like, what if you don't have kids? That's great. I don't, that sounds terrible.
Oh, Okay,
I
we're
have a whole, we both have whole tirades about that we will save for later episodes.
thank you.
But
Thank you. I was just going to mention that. Like, that's going to be a whole separate thing, a whole separate episode that we have because, wow, the stories
mhm.
that we could share. Yeah. And okay. This is kind of just like our welcome episode. So like first of all, thank you for those of you that are here and like ready for it. This is day 1. We are here. We're here every 2 weeks for now. We might bump it up to once a week, but like we're here, and just so that you kind of have the expectation is that the whole premise of this podcast is that we are good friends. Erica used to live here in Missouri where I live, and her husband is active duty military, so they have now moved to another state. They live somewhere else, and we like this is one of the things that's going to keep us connected a little bit. It also holds us accountable as it like checking in, because we do get understaffed, and we do have like mental health problems where like sometimes we are just checked out. Like there's no energy left to give to myself, let alone to another person, friend, spouse, dog, whomever. And so there will probably be a week or two that we are understaffed and we don't even have an episode for you. So I'm throwing that out there in our welcome message to just let you know that we are human beings, just like you. And life happens. I'm a single person. I have multiple jobs. I have multiple hobbies. I have some friends here and have somewhat of a life. And I do try to regularly practice self care on top of having anxiety and depression issues that I'm like navigating on a regular basis. Erica?
Yep. Yeah. So for the last
Yep.
9 months, my husband was deployed, and anyone who is military adjacent knows that that's when everything goes wrong. And we made the bright decision to move to another state, buy our first house, and then he immediately deployed, which went exactly as poorly as you would think. So everything went wrong. Like my dog died, and my refrigerator went out, and I broke my toe, and a whole bunch of other things, some hilarious, some absolutely devastating. And I also have depression and anxiety, and I finally got, sort of, it's been a bit of a roller coaster getting my anxiety under control, and then I get my anxiety under control and I'm like, oh no, all I have is depression now. So it's been a journey, the last year for the both of us, for sure.
Yeah. So, that's this right here. These two people, these two humans, we've been friends for a few years. We actually met through a book club. So, we are going to be discussing books a little bit here and there. So, yeah, if you relate to this message, if you are on board, if anything is, you know, same page for you, same book, same library, definitely hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button so we can start getting the word out a little bit more. And, we appreciate you guys being here. This is literally what we're doing is just trying to find people who are on the same page and relate and can, kind of empathize with that situation, whether you've been there before, you're going through it now, God only knows. So we're just here to have a little bit of fun, get out there a little bit, meet new people. Yeah, so thanks for being here.
And if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, definitely let us know. We always love it when people tell us how great we are. So if you could do that, that would also be great.
Yeah, we.
but
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
um but to echo what Sarah said, we're just thrilled to have someone listening to us, and it's a project to keep us connected as friends, but also connect with other people. Like we can't be the only two people that feel this way.
Yeah. So if we put out episode requests on like Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, definitely follow those pages because we are, we're getting out there. But if we put out any episode requests or questions, we would love for you guys to respond to those, and we'll read out your responses on our episodes when we have those questions come up. And like she said, if anything that we say aligns with your life, with your friend's life, with whoever, definitely share the episode too. With whatever we're talking about, if something pops up and it aligns with your life, hit that share button, man, because every share, every like counts. And then gotta put that little plug in there too, that if you happen to leave a review, I wouldn't be upset about it.